Welcome to a grateful night. If the holidays feel full, you can set it all down here. You've made it to evening, and that is enough. This is your Harvest Cottage. A small, warm place where rain speaks softly to the windows and the fire keeps an old kindness. For the next hour, you are not asked to fix, impress, or host. You are invited to receive, rest, warmth, and the quiet relief of enough for tonight. Breathe in for 4 and let it leave. Like rain retreating from the pain, you are safe, you are welcome, you are held. Let the cottage meet you at the door of breath. We'll use an easy 4-6 rhythm. No striving, just sway. Round 1. Inhale through your nose for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine a window fogging gently with your warmth. Hold for 2. The briefest pause, like a hand on a doorknob. Exhale through your mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The fog clears and you can see lamplight inside. Unclench your jaw, unknit the brow. If your tongue is pressed to the roof of your mouth, let it rest, like a spoon set back in a drawer. Round 2. Inhale 4. Draw the scent of wood smoke and rain, clean and kind. Hold 2. Let your shoulders listen to the pause. Exhale 6. Let the day pour out like a kettle finishing its song. Let the shoulders slide down the slope of your back. Let your hands soften, emptying the invisible bags they've been carrying. Your chest rises. Your chest rises, falls. A hearth door opening and closing to keep the room warm but not blazing. Round 3. Inhale 4. Feel the belly widen under your hand, like dough proofing under a towel. Hold 2. a friendly pause, not a test. Exhale 6. Longer. Slower. The rainy night drawing its calm across the roof. Now let the breath find its own pace. A body scan, like hanging up a coat, piece by piece. Forehead, smooth as wet slate. Temples, warm from the fire. Eyes, heavy, peaceful. Lids drifted half closed, like curtains at dusk. Cheeks loosen. Tongue softens. Throat wide and unhurried. Collarbones floating. Shoulders. 2 stones set down by the door. Arms lengthen. Hands open, as if to catch small blessings. Chest. Thank you for your faithful work. Belly. Thank you for making room. Hips widen into the bed, like a chair that finally fits. Thighs. Steady. Knees easy. Calves uncoil. Ankles loose. Feet cooling, like baked bread on a rack. If a tight place remains, tell it quietly. You don't have to hold the whole season. We can rest now. The cottage agrees. The rain traces the glass, steady and friendly. The fire gives a soft hush, never shouting, always tending. Your breath becomes the room's rhythm. Simple, kind, enough. Giver of every good thing. Thank you for the breath in my body, for a roof that holds the rain at bay, for light that lingers, even on long days. Thank you for enough for tonight, for warmth, for water, for one quiet room. If the season is mixed, meet me gently. Let gratitude be a soft blanket, not a rule. Let my heart remember small joys without pressure. Help me name what is here and let go of what is not. May rest be my permission and my prayer. May I know that I am held, even when the day was hard. May I trust that small joys count. May I believe that tonight I have enough. May my sleep be deep, my dreams be kind, and my morning be gentle. Amen. And so it is. The lane to the cottage was a ribbon of wet leaves and puddled sky. Evening had pulled its wool cap low, and the hedges wore strings of rain like clear beads. When the traveler turned the bend, the Harvest Cottage revealed itself. Stone walls the color of toast, windows holding small suns, smoke lifting from the chimney, as if the house were sending up thank yous. Inside, the room glowed with lamp and hearth. A wool coat hung by the door, shoulders damp, beginning to steam in the warmth. Lamplight pooled on the wooden table, catching the grain in long amber lines. The window spoke in rain, a patient whisper. Tracing the glass from top to sill. Near the fire, a kettle began its low conversation, not yet singing, only considering a song. The traveler stood on the threshold to listen. It wasn't silence. It was kind sound. The kind that holds rather than hurries. They unwrapped their scarf, shook off a few raindrops, and placed boots beneath the bench, where a woven mat waited like a friend's hand. You, too, may unlace the day. Imagine the sound of wet laces sliding free, the way relief can be simple. On the mantel, a small framed photograph of a field in late afternoon. The light turned honey. the stalks leaning, as if nodding amen. Next to it, a little ledger lay closed, a pencil tucked into its spine. The cover was worn at the corners, like something often gently opened. The traveler fed the fire a split log from the basket. The flame accepted without drama, nibbled, brightened, settled. A humble crackle answered in return. Soft, rounded, never sharp. The room sighed. The kettle took heart from the company and came a little nearer to song. The traveler moved to the wooden table, set a single place, soup and bread waiting under a towel to keep the heat, a small plate of butter, the temperature of agreeableness. They tore the bread, steam curling up, like a prayer that insisted on rising. They spooned the soup, tasting carrots and thyme, and the kind of patience that chopping requires. Gratitude arrived unannounced, sat down, and folded its napkin. Outside, the rain practiced the same rhythm over and over. Arrive, gather, go. The glass kept the weather's hand while allowing its voice. The traveler watched a drop collect friends, grow brave, and then slip down in a silver line, leaving the pane cleaner than before. Not every falling is a loss. By the fire, a tin hook held the wool coat at a respectful distance, so heat could lift the damp without scolding. The coat would be ready by morning. Everything here was allowed time. After supper, the traveler wiped the table with a cloth that smelled faintly of lemon and old trees. They poured hot water from the kettle over a spoonful of tea leaves. The steam clouded the air with something green and forgiving. They cupped the mug and stood at the window. The lane shone like a river. Somewhere a nightbird tried one note and decided to save the rest for spring. On the shelf beneath the window sat a wooden box, dovetailed edges polished by many hands. The lid bore a small carving, of a sheaf of grain tied with ribbon. The traveler lifted it, and the hinges, well oiled with memory, opened without complaint. Inside, a memory collection of small graces, not jewels, tokens. A button from a winter coat that belonged to a beloved aunt who taught the traveler to mend rather than toss. A flat stone with a line of quartz through it, like lightning captured and made polite. A bus ticket, brittle now, from the day a stranger gave up a seat, and the traveler cried from the relief of being seen. A clipped sprig from last year's rosemary plant, tied with red thread. A recipe card in someone else's hand. Oatcakes, not too sweet. A feather, striped and light. A note. You were kind to me the day I burned the toast. The traveler touched each one and let the thank yous rise. Not forced, just remembered. Gratitude didn't arrive as a speech. It arrived as temperatures changing. The chest warm under the sternum, the jaw refusing its old armor, the breath settling into chair shape. Let your own ledger open a little now. You don't need objects. A small scene will do. A smile at the shop door. Hot water from a tap. Socks found in the dryer when you thought the pair was forever parted. A text that simply said, "Home soon." The tea cooled to perfect. The travelers sat by the fire, toes to the fender, and slid the little ledger from the mantel. The pencil made a satisfying whisper across paper. On the first fresher page, a line awaited, narrow, friendly, unafraid of small handwriting. They wrote, "Today the light found me anyway." A long exhale answered. The fire responded with a round, approving sigh. The rain agreed with a soft run down the sash. The traveler didn't make a list. One line was enough. The ledger was a companion, not a judge. On other nights it had held. The neighbor waved with their whole face. The soup had more potatoes than I expected. The letter finally arrived. The hurt did not stay sharp. The kettle moved back to the hook. rested. Heat slowed. The traveler tucked a corner of the rug under their heel and let the chair remember their favorite shape. On the sill, a small candle in a glass jar caught the firelight and made a second, quieter flame of it. From the bed nook, a quilt craned its head and suggested certain futures. The traveler smiled at the notion and stayed by the hearth a little longer. Not every comfort needs to be rushed. A knock came, not on the door, but in memory. The traveler's mind offered a scene from an earlier season. The day the car wouldn't start, and the neighbor arrived with jumper cables and 2 jokes, one good. They remembered that the air had the same kind of rain in it then, a rain that made everything touchable. They whispered, "Thank you," into the present room, and it didn't feel foolish. The cottage seemed to pocket the thanks as a tip left for good service. The ledger waited, patient as bread dough. The traveler wrote a second line, then decided one was still plenty. They made a small arrow to point at the first, and underneath added, "Enough for tonight." You may borrow that if you like. Enough for tonight. The traveler stood, stretched gently, feeling their spine uncurl, like a cat considering rest but not yet committed. They walked to the window again and pressed their palm against the glass. The cold shock was pleasant, immediate, real. They could feel the rain on the other side, separate but friendly. Beyond the lane, the fields lay in darkness, but the traveler knew them by heart. They had walked them in summer, when the wheat was high and golden, and the sky was wide and blue. They had walked them in autumn, when the harvest was gathered, and the earth lay bare, but not empty, resting. Now, in this between season, the fields were teaching their winter lesson, that rest is not laziness, that fallow is not failure, that the ground must be allowed to dream before it can grow again. The traveler whispered to the glass, to the fields, to themselves, "Thank you for teaching me to rest." They turned back to the room. The fire had settled into its evening rhythm. No longer hungry, just warm. The lamplight held steady. The kettle sat silent on its hook. The cottage had found its night voice. A hum so low it was almost a feeling rather than a sound. On the small shelf beside the hearth sat a row of jars. Each one held something simple: dried beans, flour, sugar, oats, salt. The traveler looked at them and felt a wave of gratitude for plainness, for the unremarkable mercy of enough. Thank you for beans that fill, for flour that rises, for salt that seasons, for sugar that sweetens even the bitter days. The traveler's grandmother had kept jars like these. She had taught them that abundance isn't about excess. It's about having what you need, when you need it, and knowing you have it. That's the real wealth, she used to say. Knowing you have enough. The traveler opened the jar of oats, lifted a handful, and let them pour back in, like sand through an hourglass. The sound was small but satisfying. A sound of plenty, a sound of provision. Thank you for this. Later, the traveler sliced an apple. Its crisp echo answering the rain's steady speech. They sprinkled a pinch of cinnamon, the scent rising like a story told at the end of a long table. When everyone has moved their plates aside and leaned in, they carried the dish to the hearth and warmed it by the coals, turning the slices once, twice, until the edges softened. A small luxury, almost free. On the wall, a clock with a face the color of cream carried time without nagging. Its hands moved the way clouds move when the wind is polite. The traveler watched them for a while and discovered no urgency there, only faithful motion. Gratitude, too, is like this, they thought. A hand circling, returning, never done, but never in a hurry. They returned to the memory box. Tonight, the objects felt less like trophies and more like breadcrumbs in a kind wood, each one pointing toward a clearing. The button reminded them of learning to repair small things in small ways. and how power lives in that choice. Thank you for mending. The stone with quartz lightning made them think of shocks survived. Strike turned stripe. Thank you for resilience that doesn't roar. The bus ticket called up the stranger's face, tired and kind. Thank you for kindness that costs. Thank you for the cost feeling like nothing to the giver. The rosemary carried the kitchen of someone missed. Thank you for flavors that outlast seasons. The recipe card held the loop of a hand long at rest. They ran a fingertip along the ink, as if touch could keep the writer a moment more. Thank you for those who fed me before they were gone. The feather reminded them that even grounded lives are made of air as well as earth. Thank you for lightness that knows when to land. The note about the burned toast invited a smile. Thank you for being forgiven when you were the one who smelled of mistake. The rain drummed a little louder, as roofs do when they remember stories from storms past. The fireplace answered by rounding its voice, keeping the low end warm and the high end gentle. No pops, only a soft conversation of wood turning itself into light. You might notice how your breath has joined this cottage orchestra. Rain, fire, clock, chest, in, out, like rocking a child who already sleeps. The traveler carried their apple to the table and ate slowly, as if each bite could be titled and dated. A small joy, late autumn. Between bites they looked up, and in the window's reflection they saw not just themselves, but a mosaic of the room. A curl of smoke inside the glass chimney of the candle, the quilt's patient squares, the kettle in profile, like a companion listening. They rinsed the dish in warm water, enjoying the way steam touches skin like a blessing. They dried it with a towel that had more past than present, edges mended by several hands. They placed it on the shelf with a clap of completion that the room accepted with satisfaction. From a drawer, the traveler drew a pencil, sharpened but not pointy, and a small stack of envelopes. They had a habit, now and then, of writing a note to someone who would never read it, simply to say thank you. Tonight, they addressed one. To To the stranger who waited with me in the rain that day at the bus stop. Inside, they wrote only, "You made waiting feel like arriving." They slid the paper back into the envelope and tucked it into the memory box. Gratitude does not always need a stamp. Sometimes it needs a place. They opened the ledger again, not out of duty, but because the pencil wished to continue its friendly whisper. Beneath, "Today the light found me anyway," they wrote. "The soup warmed more than soup." A smile tilted the line. The ledger did not mind poetry that needed no audience. A yawn visited, polite enough to cover its mouth. The traveler stood and stretched, the spine uncurling like a cat not in a hurry to nap, but open to the possibility. They placed another small log on the fire, not to stir it into blaze, only to feed the consistent hush. From the peg by the door, the wool coat now dry hung with a new softness. The traveler touched the sleeve and felt a private gladness for practical things that do their quiet work. Thank you, sleeve that knows the way home from the market. Thank you, boots that forgive puddles. Thank you, door that remembers how to close gently. Let your mind wander your own cottage, real or imagined. Name 3 humble helpers. The cup that fits your hand, the blanket that doesn't itch, the switch that makes light where there was none a moment ago. Small joys count. They are the quilt pieces that keep a night from unraveling. The traveler knelt to open the oven of the small cast iron stove, where the kettle liked to rest between songs. They breathed the metallic comfort of its breath. They poured hot water again, this time plain, to steam the room's edges and add a little cloud to the corners. A memory rose, one from a difficult year, when gratitude felt like a language they hadn't been taught. The traveler remembered how a friend had said, "If you can't find the big things, choose a tiny one and repeat it." That night, they had thanked the houseplant for not giving up, the lamp for holding a bulb without complaint, the night for arriving, even when invited rudely. The repetition had not forced joy. It had practiced notice. Tonight, the practice felt like muscle memory. Thank you for enough. Thank you for enough. Thank you for enough. The clock's hands consented to move. The fire settled into a late evening key. The rain performed its lullaby without asking for applause. The traveler placed the ledger back on the mantel and blew out the small candle. Darkness, less a loss than a change of fabric, took the room in hand. They turned toward the bed nook, a shallow alcove framed in pine. Quilt folded back like an invitation letter slid from its envelope. They smoothed the sheet, though it didn't need smoothing, and sat. The bed received them, the way the cottage had received the coat, the dish, the apple, without demands. Before lying down, they reached for the ledger one more time and drew a tiny box at the page's bottom. Inside, they penciled a single check mark. Not completion, but consent. Consent to rest. Consent to be carried by night. You might give yourself the same small mark inside, wherever you keep decisions. Consent to rest. Consent to be carried. The cottage lowered its voice. The fire became a red gold memory of itself, banked but lively. The rain held steady at the windows, faithful as a lullaby that knows all the verses and never rushes the refrain. The traveler lay in the gentle darkness, their body finally still. The day's weight had been set down. Piece by piece, boot by boot, word by word, until all that remained was breath and warmth and the quiet knowledge of being held. On the table by the bed, the ledger waited open to the line, "Today, the light found me anyway." The pencil, courteous, lay across the crease as if to say, "I can be finished or I can continue. It's up to you." The traveler took it, and in the margin wrote the gentlest line of all, "I am grateful for enough." A bell of relief rang inside their chest, no louder than the click of a latch. The room seemed to nod, as rooms do when someone speaks the right size truth. It's safe to rest, the traveler whispered into the quilt. I am held even when the day was hard. The night received the words as tender inventory. Nothing to prove, nothing to defend. The breath answered with a longer exhale. You can borrow those words if you want, or simply rest in their company, like sitting by someone kind who doesn't need you to talk. The rain shifted, tracing a new path down the pane, and the fire adjusted in courtesy. The kettle gave one last throat clearing, and then quieted, content to be heat without announcement. The traveler reached to turn down the lamp. The lamplight on the wooden table bunched and then lifted, like a theater curtain. The stage beneath, bed, rug, chair, coat, remained in soft focus, ready to continue the play without an audience. From the memory box on the sill, the feathers shifted in a draft and settled again. The clock's second hand walked on cottage feet into the next minute. The page waited, not for more words, but for sleep to sign its name in the script everyone reads. The traveler placed the ledger gently on the table and turned onto their side. Knees tucked, one hand under the cheek, the other open on the quilt, as if to hold a blessing without gripping. The body remembered how to be a boat on a quiet lake. The mattress remembered how to be water with just enough shore. Small joys count, the traveler said to the ceiling beams, who had heard many declarations and preferred this one. Enough for tonight. Their mouth curved, and that was the last deliberate thing they did. Outside, the night deepened. The rain continued its patient work, washing the lane, feeding the fields, speaking its soft alphabet to every listening roof. The wind stayed gentle, barely there, just enough to remind the trees that they were not alone. Inside the cottage, the fire burned lower, each log giving itself slowly, ash and ember trading places. The coals glowed like small suns, holding the memory of afternoon, keeping it safe until morning. The traveler's breath slowed, matching the rhythm of the rain. In, and the rain gathered on the glass. Out, and the rain ran down in silver lines. In, and the fire whispered, "Still here." Out, and the room sighed, "Yes." Their mind began to drift, to float. Images rose and fell like gentle waves. The field in the photograph on the mantel, golden and nodding. The neighbor's face, kind and unexpected. The oat jar, simple and full. The lavender in the pillow, purple and patient. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." The words became a rhythm, not forced, not performed, just present, like a pulse, like a tide. The traveler's grandmother appeared in the drifting, not as memory exactly, but as presence. She was standing at her own cottage door, flower on her hands, smiling that smile that said, "Come in, you're right on time." The traveler felt themselves walking toward her, across the threshold, into warmth, into the scent of bread rising, into the sound of her humming, that old hymn about grace. Thank you for those who taught me to notice small mercies. Thank you for those who set the table before I arrive. Thank you for love that outlasts leaving. The cottage took it from here. The rain spoke its long, kind paragraph. The fire answered with a low, rounded consonant. The night composed a sentence with few words and many pauses. In one corner of the dreaming, the ledger wrote itself a new line. Today, rest found me anyway. Let the light dim now. Let the page close. Let the cottage keep watch. If you wake, the rain will still be writing its soft letter to the glass. The fire will still be whispering about turning wood into warmth. Your bed will still be practicing the shape of you. You can return to the line. I am grateful for enough. And the night will nod. The traveler felt their body growing heavier. In the most wonderful way. Heavy with peace. Heavy with permission. Each muscle softening. Each bone settling. Each breath deepening. They were being held by the bed, by the quilt, by the cottage, by the earth itself. And beneath it all, beneath the rain and the fire and the ticking clock, there was a deeper sound. A sound like the universe breathing. A sound like grace moving through the world, patient and unhurried. A sound that said, "You belong here. You are part of this. You are loved." The traveler surrendered to that sound. Let it carry them. Let it hold them. Let it sing them into sleep. One last image rose. The field in the photograph. But now the traveler was standing in it. The wheat reached their waist, golden and warm in the late light. The sky above was endless blue. A single bird called, and then was silent. The traveler stood very still and felt the earth beneath their feet. Solid, real, home. And in that field, in that stillness, in that golden light, they heard a voice. It might have been their own. It might have been their grandmother's. It might have been the voice of the divine. It didn't matter. The voice said, "You have done enough. You have walked enough. You have carried enough. Now, beloved, rest." And the traveler, at last, at long last, let go. Sleep is near. Drift toward it as leaves drift toward the gutter. without struggle, carried by simple laws that favor rest. The cottage holds its watch. The rain keeps its vigil. The fire tends its coals. And you, precious soul, are safe to sleep. It's safe to rest. I am grateful for enough. I am held even when the day was hard. Small joys count. Enough for tonight. Sleep well. Sleep deep. Sleep in peace. If tonight's story brought you peace, return each week for more soulsignal.com. Stories and rituals that remind your nervous system what safety feels like. Until next time, may you dream in light and wake in grace. Get the signal, soulsignal.org.